Hasn't your kind caused enough destruction, Decepticon? Well, Thundercracker, have you had your fill of war?
I will never quit. Not while my brother is in agony.
Agony caused by your Decepticon brothers.
True, and I will get my revenge on them. But Skywarp was sacrificed for our greater good, allowing me and others to be restored. But this is your arc. You have done nothing to undo his torture.
We have had the resources to undo it, or we would have.
Lies!
He speaks the truth. We fought to retake the Ark as our base, and found Skywarp in this state. This was not our doing. This foul work was the wicked toil of Decepticon hands. We took no glee in seeing Skywarp like this. We would have repaired him if it was within our means.
Impossible. You would never.
We are warriors on the opposite sides, but we are all Cybertronians. Look into my optics. Hear my words. You know what your allies are sadly capable of. You may still have a glimmer of hope within you, not yet corrupted by your actions. Allow that part of you to recognize what I say to you is true. This I ask humbly.
You can restore him?
I swear it.
Hey guys, the Firebird is here. I am back from my vacation. Yeah, I know, you guys miss me. You guys miss me so much. In fact, they are about to donate a bunch of money and become channel members. For sure. But anyways, jokes aside. The newest issue, Skybound, issue 26, came out. I was not here for that, so this video is a bit late. I'm sorry for that. But yeah, better late than never, I guess, and it gives me more time to come up with an appropriate skit for the beginning, as you guys saw. But anyways, last issue was the start of the Kirkman arc, but this one we're continuing for the last one left off. And if you guys remember, last time I felt like I was maybe a bit too harsh on the issue. So people were saying that it's fine, it wasn't that big of a deal. But there was also a lot of people who said that yeah, the writing feels different, you know, the characters feel a tad bit off. I know a lot of people have problems with Soundwave's new characterization. But maybe, you know, that was just because it was the first issue. Maybe issue 26 will pick things back up and everything will be back to normal, back to the usual Skybound standard. But anyway, still a reminder, we have a Skybound playlist if you guys want to be caught up on all of the Skybound stuff that has come out since then. And it looks like we're getting more and more, you know, crossovers being teased with the Transformers. I think it was around last month where Skybound kind of teased that there was going to be a bit more crossovers going on in between the different comics, like G.I. Joe, we already saw them crossover a bit. Mask characters are also appearing in the comic issue. You guys know I'm not a big fan of that, but hey, I'll give it a chance, and so far it's not that intrusive, so I'm fine with it. But anyways, last call for spoilers, and if you're still here, I assume you're cool with it. So anyways, let's get on with the issue. So issue 26 starts with Thundercracker unleashing hellfire on Wheeljack and Jazz, being quite erratic, and like, it reminds me of those people you find in the street saying, "The end is near!" During his fight, he grabs Wheeljack and throws him onto Jazz like he's a pinball. Thundercracker tries to remove Skywarp off the Teletran 1 mainframe. Wheeljack and Jazz try to reason with him, saying that if he does that, he's gonna kill him. But Thundercracker doesn't care and uses a sound wave
Kind of attack.
I'm sorry, is this a G1 thing? I don't remember this at all. Since when does Thundercracker have like clapping power? But then Ultra Magnus shows up, just decks Thundercracker in the face, knocking him out and taking his weapons away from him. Thundercracker is left defenseless, and the Autobots try to reason with him, that they were not the ones who did this to Thundercracker, it was the other Decepticons back in issue 4 when they had taken control of the base. Thundercracker doesn't believe it, but then Optimus Prime shows up, and yes, it's the beginning bit with the Skit, and manages to talk down Thundercracker. He tells him that, despite being from opposite sides, him and the Autobots, they will never do that to an enemy, but the Decepticons and his brothers would, something that Thundercracker doesn't deny, and just asks if they can restore him. And Optimus says that they can, especially now that they have some help from the humans. The humans show up and in full force, carrying the bodies of Mirage and Bulkhead. Yes, Wheeljack, that is my exact same reaction. They also brought enough Energon to bring them back and also get their forces back on tip-top shape. Wheeljack gives General Flag the thumbs up, and I love this little drawing of Wheeljack. Oh my god, it's so cute. Wheeljack is like my favorite character in Skybound so far. And tells him that General Flag is actually alright. And you know what? If Wheeljack trusts him, then so do I. For now, at least. But while that's going on, Optimus and Ultra Magnus have their own little conversation farther away from everyone. Ultra Magnus is not convinced that Thundercracker might not be a danger, and he tells Optimus that he doesn't think this is a good idea. But Optimus tells him that if they treat him like a prisoner, then he will think like a prisoner. They need to treat him like an ally, and he might just surprise them.
A few inches later,
the group starts discussing the possibility of how long it will take for them to restore Skywarp. Wheeljack reassures Optimus that he can totally fix Skywarp, it just will take a little while. Thundercracker doesn't want to leave just yet, he's still a little skeptical, so that creeps out Wheeljack a bit. But Ultra Magnus is having none of it and tells him to move along. While that's going on, Optimus goes up to Soundwave's cell and offers him some Energon. Soundwave appreciates, but questions his motives. Optimus is just offering Soundwave a bit of kindness, but Soundwave views this as him trying to turn him away from his fellow Decepticons. And Starbunny states that he wasn't moved before, and he won't be now. And Optimus counters back by saying that he seems pretty loyal to a group that abandoned him as soon as things didn't go their way. Soundwave just laughs this off by doing his best General Kalani impression. Unable to reason with him, Optimus tells him to just enjoy his Energon and dips. We then cut back to Chicago where we see that the rest of the Autobots are helping find any survivors amongst the wreckage. We also get a first look at Carly in the new Skybound style, and I gotta say, Carly's design is peak and so is Pike. He actually looks really good now. He did my boy and girl justice. Also, Beachcomber looks alright, I think. But her and Beachcomber are helping a bunch of humans get out of some of the rubble. However, Beachcomber is not strong enough to hold the big rock in place, but thankfully Shredhead appears just in time to take care of the load. After that, we catch up with Spike 2, who's checking on Carly and the rescue process. He's a bit marveled by Shredhead. I mean, her car basically just turned into a robot, so they're both a little, shocked by this. But Carly, who has pretty much seen almost everything by this point, she just thinks it's cool and doesn't have much to say on the matter. However, she asks how Spike is doing, and Spike seems to be doing alright, though his heart is with the victims of the disaster. The Decepticons killed a lot of people and caused so much chaos, so there's people out there who have it way worse than he does at the moment. Carly pulls Spike into a hug, reassuring him that everything will be alright. They're strong enough to get through this, and she tells him that he sounds just like him. Spike's a bit confused and says that he's sounding like his dad, but Carly clears up that she actually was talking about Optimus, something that seems to make the young man very happy. Also, just realized this, we also see Silverbolt in the background, so which means the aerobots didn't die like some people were thinking, and I'm very happy to hear that, because it would have been very underwhelming if Superior just dies off screen, because we didn't see him after he charged towards Devastator and Bruticus. We then cut back to, God, I don't have a transition for humans. Okay, I'll make something up editor, whoever's saying this, probably me. Make something up right now! So we go back to Miles Mayhem, who's talking to a scientist, and they're both discussing Optimus Prime. So when he entered the base, it looks like they managed to scan him and managed to get this 3D build of every part of his body. A perfect replica that's even able to mirror his transformation from a robot to a truck. Mayhem then asks the scientist if General Flag knows about this, and the scientist tells him that they have it cataloged in its database, but they haven't transferred the report to the General just yet. And before he can finish, he's shot in the face by General Mayhem, who says, "The fewer people are aware of this, the better." But anyways, we then cut back to Cybertron, where we see that Cliffjumper is having a very intense discussion with Elita-1. Cliffjumper tries to argue his case that he did nothing wrong and all he did was help Optimus and the Autobot cause on Earth. Elita is like,
Cybertron is the center of my universe. How is it not the heart of yours? Cybertron is about all life. Destruction. To keep Cybertron on life support, there must be another way. Flesh isn't life. Servos, gyros, and fuel. This is where life comes from.
Elita-1 then tracks Cliffjumper to see the bodies of other Autobots who are severely damaged. And, I mean, we don't know if they're dead. It's kind of implied that they're still alive. Oh wait, Cosmo's there! My girl Moonracer's here! Okay, you know what? Just for that, the issue might get an extra point in the ranking. Cuff recognizes Elita, but before he can keep on talking, Elita just tells him to save his strength. Which, I don't know, this is kind of weird, because back in issue 15, Blue Streak just straight up said that Cuff was dead, and now he's here like nothing had happened. And look, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that Cup's here and still alive and he can come back to do some cool stuff later on. But I don't know, like, it feels like they're just bringing back everyone at this point, you know? It's like, I feel like at any moment I'm gonna see Ratchet, Bumblebee, and that is starting to feel a little less special. And that was one of the things that Skybound really, you know, marketed off at the very beginning, you know, no one was safe. But now it looks like everyone is safe. Huh, what happened to you? So apparently Cliffjumper is being sent off to go to the Decepticon territory and get some components so they can fix the space bridge. Apparently Elita-1 is planning to just go to Earth and confront Optimus, and Cliffjumper's like, yeah sure, I'll get that to you. So when she goes, he can be there when Optimus talks some sense into her. I don't know what Cliffjumper is thinking, but I think Elita-1 made it very clear that she's way past just talking to Optimus. Now if she goes there, she's gonna go to kill them. Cliff, don't do this! You're smarter than this! But anyway, speaking of Earth, the Autobots have finished getting Skywarp off the wall and using Teletron 1 to repair him. Now, dear audience who are watching this and who might have not read the issue so far, how do you think Skywarp will react to this? Will he A. be grateful and join the Autobots? B. be grateful, take Thundercracker and leave, or C. try and kill the Autobots while they're getting Skit? If you chose anything but C, you have way too much faith in these psychopathic Decepticons, let me tell you. Skywarp starts shooting and trying to kill the Autobots, but just before he can shoot Ultra Magnus, Thundercracker takes his hand away and makes him miss his shot. Ultra Magnus decides that Skywarp can be reason him and tries to kill him, only for Thundercracker to transform and fly away. However, he's caught by Ultra Magnus and thrown away against the wall, which conveniently happens to be right next to Soundwave's cell. With the limited time they have, Soundwave is like, yo, you need to find Megatron and tell him exactly what's going on. We need to regroup and counterattack immediately. But Thundercracker also catches up to Skywarp and tells him that he needed the help of the Autobots to fix him and get him off the wall. And how could he not see what the Decepticons did to him as a betrayal? They literally tore him apart and put him inside that machine. But Skywarp tells him that that was them, and they were desperate. But now that Megatron's back, it's all gonna be good now, like the old times. This causes Thundercracker to punch Skywarp in frustration, which causes him to say, "You were always weak. The Decepticons don't need you. You will not be missed." Thundercracker transforms and flies away. The Autobots are too injured right now to pursue, so they just let him go. Ultra Magnus asks what are they gonna do about Thundercracker, but Thundercracker quietly replies that they have nothing to fear from him. He is where he belongs and has chosen his side. And yes, we have an Autobot Thundercracker. Okay, look, I know Thundercracker being a good guy was a big thing in IDW, but for me, who has never read those comics of IDW, this is actually so cool. This is like my first time seeing a straight up Autobot Thundercracker. I am very curious where they take this, because so far I will say Thundercracker is one of the most interesting characters in Skybound thus far. Meanwhile, we then come back to the Decepticons. Megatron and the Decepticons were scouting for Energon, and Megatron is very disappointed that this is all the Energon they managed to scavenge. Apparently this was all the Energon that was still around from the big machine that was sucking most of Earth's resources that Shoutout constructed a few arcs back. This Energon is barely enough to repair Megatron, much less any of them. But Scrapper reassures Megatron that there's still plenty of human power sources all around. They just need to gather a few, extract the resources, and maybe they can use the technology to build more power. But then Megatron starts having a spasm, leaving the rest of the Decepticons very confused and slightly alarmed as Megatron keeps on screaming in pain, his eyes turning purple as the issue comes to an end. But yeah, that's pretty much it for issue 26 of Skybound. Okay guys, so this issue was way shorter than last one. The last issue was like double the usual, page size of a Skybound issue. But that was because we're switching creative teams and starting a whole new arc. So I'm gonna talk about some of the stuff that happened in this issue. First up, let's talk about Thundercracker. I think that's the character that everyone's gonna be talking about in this issue. Now, this has been something that has been building up for quite a while. Thundercracker, changing sides, we saw from earlier on that he wasn't like the other Decepticons. He didn't just, relish in mindless violence. His focus was mostly on, finding his brothers and making sure they were all safe. But now that he found Skywarp and with the help of the Autobots managed to, fix him, I think Thundercracker saw a lot of like what the Decepticons were, that ugly aspect of them relishing on violence and hatred and spreading pain whenever they went. Thundercracker has always been depicted as being a bit more honorable than most of the Decepticons. But after basically being disowned by Skywarp, Thundercracker now has nowhere to go. He really can't go back to the Decepticons because Skywarp will probably tell Megatron that he's a traitor. So him sticking with the Autobots is the only real choice he has. But now, don't get me wrong, I don't think this means Thundercracker will just straight up fight the Decepticons just yet. I feel like this is something that he will slowly build up to. I think that for next issue, or like at least whenever the Autobots go to fight the Decepticons, Thundercracker will probably pull a Dreadwing from Transformers Prime and be like,
betraying my kind is not the same as accepting yours.
So I don't think that Thundercracker is gonna, full on, give up onto the Decepticon cause. Because, to be fair, the Decepticons by this point are still fairly unexplored, We have a big idea that they're fighting for Cybertron, that they want peace, even if it's, by violent means. But Thundercracker is someone that doesn't really vibe with that. So the Autobot cause might seem more appealing, but I don't think he's gonna, go full on get Autobot tattoos right away. Especially with Magnus and the other Autobots not trusting him. If anything, I think Thundercracker is probably gonna be like Dinobot was in Beast Wars. He was technically still a Predacon, even though he was with the Maximals. So I think he's gonna stay like that for quite a while, before, formally joining the Autobots. But now let's talk about the humans. So, remember last issue when I said that I felt like General Flag was pretty fishy? Yes, the humans are, helping the Autobots, but it feels like it was out of convenience. General Flag, to me, just seems to be putting up a show. And it all sounds good, but he gives me, like, Snake Salesman vibes, He will tell you a story and, talk to you in a very friendly type of way to lower your defenses. But that's because he wants something out of you. But then we cut to, like, freaking General Mayhem here, who basically is like, hey, don't tell this to General Flag. So I'm a bit confused. Are the humans working together right now? Or is it like, one side of the humans really supports the Autobots and another side doesn't really support the Autobots, like General Mayhem here? Now, General Mayhem here is a mask character. It's basically another Hasbro franchise. I know nothing about it. I am not gonna go out of my way to read some Mask comics, because frankly, I don't care. But at least from what I've seen, Mask seems to be a franchise of like, cars and attack vehicles with special weapons and stuff like that. So my guess is that the Cybertron technology that the humans will get from the Autobots is gonna be used to, start that program. Get the Mask thing going on. Either that, or what I think they should do, set up Nemesis Prime. Now, Nemesis Prime is one of those things that has never really made too much sense to me, that there's just an evil Optimus out there. I feel like some continuities handle the whole Nemesis Prime thing better than others. My favorite version of Nemesis Prime that I feel like it makes the most sense to me is that the humans just build their own, evil Optimus. Like how it was done in Transformers Prime. And if you're gonna bring, Nemesis Prime into the Skybound universe, I feel like doing it as a, human construct would work the best. I feel like if you were gonna do Nemesis Prime with the concept of it being like the evil version or the evil side of Optimus, that should have been done during the previous run, where, we literally had Optimus as, inner darkness surfacing. But now that that's out of the way, and I don't think we'll do that again because that will be a bit repetitive, I feel like getting a Nemesis Prime from the humans is the next most logical, choice. Also, it was nice to catch up with the other members of our cast, like Carly, Spike, who were, suspiciously missing last chapter. I found it very strange that they were not in the previous chapter. It's nice seeing Shredhead interact with the Autobots, even if, for now are just small interactions. Again, I am still afraid that they're gonna make Shredhead be like this Jesus figure, this savior. Shredhead could very easily turn into a Mary Sue / Gary Stu-ish type of character, you know? They're super powerful and stuff, they can solve anything. I'm a bit afraid that they might take Shredhead's character into that direction, but so far it's been pretty tamed. But again, it's a possibility, it's something that kind of scares me for the future, but I just hope that, you know, they kind of, you know, power scale down Shredhead a bit. I feel like they might be a bit too powerful for this. And also, the stuff on Cybertron, I'm very mixed on what's going on here. Like, look, I think that Elita-1's anger is justified, but I think it's pretty ridiculous that Cliffjumper's like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna help you, you know, fix the space bridge so you can go to Earth, and then Optimus is gonna talk you down into this craziness. And I'm like, Cliff, why would you do that? Look, Elita-1 just declared open rebellion last issue. So Optimus not only has the Decepticons to deal with, the humans who are conspiring against him, but now Elita-1 might show up on Earth with an army of rebel Autobots. Like, at the very least, I think Cliffjumper should be like, no, I'm not doing that, just throw me in jail, I am not helping you attack Optimus. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. I don't know what Cliffjumper is thinking. He's been pretty smart, all things considered, throughout the comic run. So him doing this feels very foolish, if not a bit naive. People are saying that Elita might turn into the Decepticon. I don't think. I mean, okay, I could maybe see it because the Decepticons kind of want to rebuild Cybertron as well. But Elita-1 has also suffered and lost so much fighting the Decepticons. Like, I don't think she will, you know, join forces with Megatron. But I do see her, you know, basically declaring war on Optimus and Megatron. You know, it's kind of like Claude from Three Hopes. If you play that game, you know what I mean. Which, low-key, I kind of wish that will happen, because a three-way army fight between, you know, Autobots, Decepticons, and Elita-1's forces will actually be kind of dope. But then we cut to Megatron and his Decepticons, and not gonna lie, Megatron and the rest don't really feel like much of a threat right now, because they kind of got their asses kicked and they're low on resources, just scavenging for food. Like, they can barely survive at the moment, so they're not much of a threat. But towards the end of the issue, where Megatron got like that little vision, his eyes turned purple and, you know, his head started hurting, I feel like this is gonna segue into the Quintessons, you know, offering their aid, or like, you know, giving some help to the Decepticons in some way. I don't know how, because again, the main event that's moving the Skybound universe so far is the Quintesson War, and I'm pretty sure that that's a thing that's mostly in Boy Rivals. Like, you know, the Quintessons are appearing in Boy Rivals and doing a bunch of stuff. People want me to cover Boy Rivals to give it a chance, and look, I'm probably gonna be premiering this right now. And I'll say this right now. I'm gonna do a video covering Boy Rivals and making Boy Rival breakdowns if we get 2 channel members right now with this premiering. Do it right now, and I'll give you my word, you guys are gonna get some Boy Rival content from now on. I'll read the whole thing, well, not the whole thing, probably the first half of it, and then do a video breakdown of it. But seriously though, if you do donate, I'll do it, and you cannot pay me enough money to read G.I. Joe, okay? But anyways, going back to Megatron. We do know that Megatron got his, you know, got the Dark Spark from the Quintessons, like that much is obvious. And the Dark Spark is still pretty mysterious at this point. We do know it acts as some sort of power boost, you know, its energy gave Megatron a lot of power. I do think that by next issue, Megatron is gonna talk to the Quintessons, but what I'm not sure is how they're gonna help. Are they gonna offer him reinforcements? Are they gonna tell him, hey yo, we have a secret weapon in Egypt, it's hidden in the pyramids, you should probably use it to like destroy the Autobots? Like, I don't know how they're gonna help, but they're definitely gonna help, and I definitely do think this is setting up something big going forward. You guys know that my big problem with the last issue, and something that a lot of people took issue with, was the text boxes. Last issue had so many text boxes, and you know, even I noticed it was a bit overwhelming, and not all of it was very interesting. The text boxes this time, I think, were, you know, used in a much better way, you know, and it didn't feel like they were just wasting time or, you know, taking up space. We even have some panels in which text boxes are not used at all, just letting the art breathe and speak for itself. So overall, yeah, I would say that was actually a pretty decent issue. It was definitely better than last month, but last month was a setup issue setting up the new arc, so I gave that a pass. So thinking about it, I'm actually gonna give this issue a 7.5 out of 10. It's not bad. I thought it was good. Seeing Thundercracker Sprout the other was actually really good. But again, it's just like, yeah, not a lot happened here. It's just catching up with everyone. There's nothing wrong with that. It didn't quite excite me as much as I was hoping it would. Thundercracker joining the Autobots is something that we kind of already knew was gonna happen. We're kind of just waiting for it. And it's something that's probably gonna get expanded upon next issue. But overall, yeah, I would say it's not bad, though I can totally see some people getting a bit frustrated that Skybound is a bit slow at the moment. And lately, this issue plus the last one feels like the story is kinda, you know, slowing down a bit. There's nothing wrong with that because, you know, some of the stuff they're setting up is actually really good. I can't wait to see what Thundercracker does in the future. And also, we're gonna get Bulk and Mirage next issue, so I'm really excited for that one. And my boy Jetfire is coming back! It's like, you see what I mean here? I'm getting excited for what's going to happen, not what's happening right now. And that is my biggest complaint with this issue. So, yeah, 7 out of 10. But yeah guys, those are my thoughts on Skybound issue 26. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below. Did you like issue 26? Do you like where the story is going? Were you surprised that Thundercracker joined the Autobots this early? And were you satisfied with the execution of it? Personally, I think this was handled in the best way it could have. It's definitely good. It was definitely something that has been, you know, boiling over for quite a bit now. And what do you guys think they're gonna do with the Decepticons? Because right now, let's be honest here, with Thundercracker, Shredhead, Superium, and the Autobot reinforcements, the Decepticons are kind of at a disadvantage right now. So we need something that tips the balance of power back to the Decepticons so the story can be interesting again, without taking away from the Autobots. So what I think is gonna happen is that the Decepticons are gonna get some help with the Quintessence, maybe a relic on Earth that they're gonna, you know, go after like in the movies, and then Elita-1's gonna join in, making this a three-way fight between the three factions. I think that's where the story is going, but I can't be sure. Skybound can be a bit unpredictable at times, and I'm sure that Robert Kirkman is cooking something good. I just don't know what. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you all enjoy. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Do that annoying YouTuber stuff the algorithm likes so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Stay safe, guys.